Hello. So today we will discuss one set of CAT 2020 slot 1, that is more of a related Venn diagram. This one is a pretty easy set, so we'll directly move to the question. Now according to the question, it's given 10 musicians A to J are expert in at least one of the following three percussion instruments: tabla, mridangam and ghatam. Among them, three are expert in tabla but not in mridangam or ghatam. So first thing is, it's already given at least one of the following three instruments here. That means the case where they are expert in none of the given is 0. So let's do one thing. Let's draw a Venn diagram. So 10 musicians and 3 instruments are there. So let's mark these instruments as tabla here, then mridangam, and then the next is something about ghatam. Right. So let's try to identify what are the conditions given. Among them, 3 are expert in tabla but not in 3 are expert in tabla but not in mridangam or ghatam. That means they are talking about tabla alone, right? So there are 3 people on this part. Then another 3 are expert in mridangam but not in tabla or ghatam. That means these 3 are also expert in mridangam alone. And then one is expert in ghatam but not in tabla or mridangam. So one is expert in ghatam alone, right? So these are the informations given. Further, 2 are expert in tabla and mridangam but not in ghatam. That means tabla and mridangam alone. So 2 people are there who are expert in tabla and mridangam alone. So we are talking about this part here. We are talking about this part. Right, so 2 people are expert in this, and one is expert in tabla and ghatam. So tabla and ghatam, one person is expert in this but not in mridangam, right? So now let's see how many people we have already utilized here. If we'll check, we have already utilized 6 plus 4, 10. So 10 we have already utilized. That means there is no one who is expert in all the 3, and there is no one who is expert in mridangam and ghatam alone, right? So I'll just mark these things here, right? So I can say now that 5 people are expert in tabla, then not 5, 6 people are expert in tabla here, then 5 people are expert in mridangam and 2 people are expert in ghatam. So this is my basic information available. Apart from that, the other information is given. Both A and B are expert in mridangam. They have not said mridangam alone, right? So A and B, I'll just mark A and B should be at this part, but at which location we are not sure about this. But only one of them is also an expert in tabla. So one of them is expert in tabla. Out of these 2, one person is also expert in tabla. That means one person should come to this point, right? So that's my first relation given here. Then the next one is D is expert in both tabla and ghatam. So D is expert in both tabla and ghatam. That means this place is occupied by D. I'll just mark this one. So D is at this point. Now both F and G are expert in tabla. They have said tabla, that is not tabla alone. So F and G, I'll just mark F and G at this point, and only one of them is also an expert in mridangam. So one of them is expert in mridangam also, right? That means these two people could be either F A, F B, G A, G B. Any combination is possible. We are not sure about this, right? So I can have various combination for this part, right? I can mark the combination can be in terms of F A, or else it can be in terms of F B, or else it can be in terms of G A, or else G B, right? Still we have these informations available. Neither I nor J is expert in tabla. So neither I nor J is expert in tabla. So I and J should belong to this part, right? I and J belongs to this part. Neither I nor J is expert in tabla. Neither H nor I is expert in mridangam. So that means, according to this, I and H should be at this part, right? So neither I nor H, right? So now, but only one of them is expert in ghatam, but only one of them is expert in ghatam, right? So now let's try to identify if we'll correlate the values. Neither I nor J is expert in tabla, and neither H nor I is expert in mridangam, but only one of them is expert in ghatam. So if we'll analyze this, the common person is I. So I is definitely supposed to be at this point, right? I is at this point here. If I is at this point, that means J is supposed to be at this point, and in this case H is supposed to be at this point, right? So I can mark some of the people. H is available here, D is available here, I is available here, J is available here, and for the other people, so I have information about how many people here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 8 people are there. 2 more are remaining. So who are those two? If we'll identify, I will utilize A, B. We have not utilized C, so we'll talk about C. C I have to fix somewhere, right? Then I have utilized D. I have not utilized E, right? So anyhow, I'll have to utilize these two people, C and E. So we have these many informations available here, right? So we have these many informations available. Let's directly move to the questions then, right? So first one is, who among the following is definitely an expert in tabla but not in either mridangam or ghatam? So I'll just mark the values here. 6 people, 5 people, this is 2 person. The locations which are filled is this one with D, this one with I, right? This one was J, this one was H, right? Apart from that, the other 2 people, if we'll identify, is F, G and A, B were the combination, right? So F, G and A, B were the combination here, right? So who among the following is definitely an expert in tabla, right? So this was tabla, mridangam, ghatam. But not in either mridangam nor ghatam, right? So now here if I'll go by the options, or else if I'll identify, H is a person who is definitely expert in tabla alone, right? So they're talking about tabla alone in this case. So my answer is supposed to be nothing but H. Right. Now next one. So I'll again utilize the informations here. I'll just fix the informations. D H I J A B and F G. Right. I'll mark tabla, mridangam, ghatam. Right. Who among the following is definitely an expert in mridangam but not in either tabla or ghatam, right? So now I can identify that one is nothing but J. These two questions we can directly identify. Now next one, again I will mark tabla, mridangam, ghatam, D I J H A B F G. Right, which of the following pair cannot have any musician who is an expert in both tabla and mridangam but not in ghatam? So they are talking about this part, right? So we have seen what are the options available for this. It was FA or else FB or else GA or else GB were the options. But what is the question? Which of the following pair cannot have any musician who is an expert in both tabla and mridangam? Right. So AB is a possibility, right? Because if one among A will be there who is expert in tabla and mridangam, then there is one person who will be expert in mridangam alone, right? Similarly, FG if we'll consider same condition. CE is not possible because we have seen C and E will have to adjust it at this point and this point, right? So it will always be a case of or, it cannot be a case of and here. So it will be nothing but option 3 CE, and CF is still possible there. Right, next one. So I'll just mark the values again. Tabla, mridangam, ghatam. Here 6 people, 5 people, 2 people, with the values as this one as D I H J F G, and this is nothing but A B, and we have to fix E and C. Right, if C is an expert in mridangam and F is not, right? So now according to this, C will be at this point because C will be expert in mridangam, although they have not said mridangam alone, but we have already seen that there are 2 people available for this part, right? And the combinations were nothing but F A, F B, then G A and GB, right? These are the combinations here. And F is not, so F is not expert in mridangam, so F has to be at this point. If F is here, then G will be at this point. Then which are the 3 musicians who are expert in tabla but not in either mridangam nor ghatam or ghatam? That means they are talking about tabla alone, right? So F and H will be definitely at this point, right? And the third person will be either E or else C, right? So let's see. EFH is possible, CGH is not possible, then EGH is not possible, CEG is not possible. So possibility is E, F and H. Right, that's all for today. Thanks.